Hi everyone, Salena Kulkarni here from Phoenix Wealth Group, and in today's little video I just want to have a discussion about this whole concept that's been bandied around the idea of a property bubble. So I've been talking to a lot of clients over the last 6 months, and everyone seems to be tuning in to the news on the radio, media, newspapers, a lot of so-called property experts who are talking about a property bubble that's going to happen here in Australia, meaning an expectation that prices are going to either burst and fall rapidly, or that they're going to decline in a slow fashion. I want to just share with you some ideas which are more fact-based to help you come to your own conclusion around whether or not you think there's a property bubble happening here in Australia. So first of all, a third of real estate in Australia is actually owned outright. What that actually does is create a great safety net for the asset class of property in general, since regardless of downturns in the economy, we're not necessarily going to see that 1/3 come crashing down or have that 1/3 take any radical action if something does go wrong. Second of all, the banking system in Australia, in contrast to the rest of the world, is actually highly conservative. So even at the peak of the GFC, when we were hearing about banks all over the world who had been, basically dishing out large numbers of these low doc loans, where effectively you needed no proof of income, no proof of any asset base, and no proof of capacity to repay the loan, and yet they'd give you a loan. Even at the height of low doc loans here in Australia, that was never the case. And still to this day, the concept of a low doc loan is still that you've got to verify to some degree all of those three elements. Again, that provides another level of safety net. Added to that is the fact that you've got a third of Australians that own property outright. You've got another third of Australians who own quite a large percentage of equity in their own homes. What that means is that the average Australian and their attitude towards debt is that they don't like to take a highly leveraged approach. And again, that creates another safety net or another layer that would have to fail before we would see any kind of property crash as such. The other thing to bear in mind here in Australia is that relative to the rest of the world, we have a very low rate of default on our loans, meaning that in Australia we take our debt incredibly seriously. So the level of people defaulting on loans under any circumstances is always relatively low compared to the rest of the world. So I think when you layer those few factors one on top of the other, what you find is the strength of our safety net across the asset class is actually relatively strong. And that's not to say we couldn't see a decline in property prices here, and certainly some of the local factors driving things like small declines are things like heavy reliance on things like mining industry, where we've had an oversupply of units in a very concentrated area, where we've allowed foreign investors to come in and buy large percentages of the stock that we hold. Those factors do contribute to potential declines or potential mini bubbles in the Australian property market. But as a whole, my view is that the asset class is solid. If you're doing good research and if you're very clear on how to navigate some of those minor property risks, then what I think you're doing is putting yourself in a position where, regardless of the market conditions, you're always going to be in a position to make money. Hope you found this video useful. Please, as always, love to hear from you. Leave your comments below and look forward to connecting with you in the future. Signing off, Salena Kulkarni from Phoenix Wealth Group.